And we're live.
Hi, this is Let's Talk with Skeptic Haven. I'm Kristyn Whitaker Hood on with David Fitzgerald tonight. Let's get the show started.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.
Woohoo!
I forgot to say we're calling on whether or not Jesus existed, and then I forgot to read the number. I can call the. Let me put the number up there.
Other than that, you did
I'm,
awesome.
I'm today. Yeah, other than forgetting half of it, sorry. So call in to 984-400-5656, and then just the topic is, did Jesus exist?
Yeah. Boring stuff like that. I mean, we all know.
Yeah,
Right? Right?
yeah, really,
Yeah.
really.
The funny
Well,
thing
hold
about
on.
the whole...
Let me talk
Yeah.
about, let me talk,
All right.
I got mirrored
Oh,
here.
look at that. That book looks awesome, Kristyn. Oh, my
One of them,
goodness.
yeah, great. Well, that's the one I've lent out a few other ones. So, sorry, I don't mean to keep going off camera here. Yeah, I've got all of them on either Audible or Kindle or the actual, hard copy itself, paperback. So I hope everybody will check out your books. They're awesome.
You and me both. Yeah. And for
I
those who are
know.
waiting for the audiobook of Playing God, Volume 1 is in the can. We're just waiting to jump through all the hoops for Spotify and whatever they're calling themselves now. It's been ridiculous behind the scenes of all the bait and switches that they've done. But hopefully Volume 1's going to be out soon. Volume 2 is already half recorded, so we'll get that out as soon as we can.
Right. I told you, I think I wrote the story a long time ago. I fell asleep. I was listening to the Gospel according to H.G. Wells. And I had, like, every once in a while you have crazy dreams, but you have this dream once in a while where it's like everything is so real. Like it's almost like it's, you went back in time. And I was at my Assemblies of God church in Sunday school, was like 4 years old. And my teacher's got the flannel board out and she's like, doing the whole Bible story thing. And I start laughing hysterically. And I'm like, she grabs me by the arm and she's pulling me out of the room, and I'm grabbing all of the little chairs from the other kids, and I'm going, Jesus never existed. Whispering it into their ears.
I thought I was the only one that had flashbacks to Southern Baptist days. I do the same thing, and it's like, this is all bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, that was it. Did I woke up and I'm like, wow, this book's got some giving me crazy dreams. And if you fall asleep listening to it on Audible, you may have crazy dreams like that.
Oh, too funny. Yeah, we should put a warning in the front. Yeah. Absolutely.
May have liberating dreams from your religious obsession. Your childhood.
That. Yeah. I think the craziest thing about the whole notion that Jesus didn't exist is that it's not just Jesus. The more you look at all the top 10 major world religions, like I did for Playing God, the more you realize, oh, wait a second. Oh, I'm sure this guy was real. No. I'm sure this guy was. No. It's like, yeah, the closer you look at all of them, including, Muhammad, who has like genealogy and his friends and family and his wives and all. It's like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
And you see the same patterns repeating themselves no matter which religion you're talking about, which is fascinating to me. Just fascinating.
It's fascinating looking at the history. And even if you putting it aside, even if you don't come to the conclusion, okay, I'm going to be a mythicist or a historian, just putting that aside for a minute, there's a huge Jewish angel mythology that I think is definitely a part of, which even like Bart Ehrman now is, he might not be saying Jesus is the angel of the presence or that type of thing, but he's saying that he now is convinced that Paul believes that Jesus was some type of angel.
It's been fascinating to watch Bart's evolution when he wrote, did Jesus exist? Oh, of course Jesus exists. To the next book where, well, some of the things I thought was for sure isn't so forth. And who knows? In 5 years, 10 years, he may completely change his mind about that.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, well,
But
I think what you've done, and I think a lot of other scholars like Richard Carey have done, Raphael Taster, you're you're pushing the field, so it makes it safer from other scholars to kind of come in behind you and explore things that they might have got more heat for because you're all
yeah,
out there pushing it so far. They can come in and start being a little more.
I hope so because I feel like I don't have a lot to contribute to this. I feel very humble, and if I can just clear out some of the dead wood, I'm fine with that. But yeah, I think you're right. I think there's been a sea change over the Bible in general, not just the New Testament, but the Old Testament as well. And 30 years ago, everybody knew Moses existed. Everybody knew there was David and Solomon. Everybody knew there was Adam and Eve. It's like it just keeps changing. The goalposts shifting. And now with Jonathan Adler saying, yeah, we don't have any archaeological evidence for Judaism before like the 2nd century BC. It just keeps marching forward, and it's not like I don't want to just pick on Judaism and Christianity. They're all equally dodgy, all of them, East and West for sure. Yeah, and
Agree.
they're dodgy in the same ways. You see the same kind of patterns and the same bullshit excuses for one. Are you hear from other people? It's wild.
Yeah, no, it's whatever it is. It always seems like it's used to hold up the power structure, the current power structure, just like Christianity was.
And yeah, that's the thing. They all pretend that they're from the ground up, and they all the major religions anyway are from the top down. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, it's even Dr. Justin Sledge, he's doing like a Merkava mysticism seminar. I really think that Jesus comes out of that that tradition. I think Paul comes out of that tradition. Proto
You're right too. When you read the book of Hebrews, the book of Hebrews, it's so different from anything from the Gospels on, and I'm sure that was that first generation of Christians that we know about in the 1st century. They were preaching something very like that.
Yeah, I was rereading your book, so yeah, you do a really good job of arguing that in what is it, volume 2, Jesus Mything in Action.
Yeah.
Was that volume 2? Yeah, I read them. I just reread. I went through all of them again.
For you guys who don't know, Kristyn has done this amazing super deep dive into Jewish mysticism and angelology that I've been saying she needs to write a book. You guys need to tell her she needs to write the book too, because it's astounding to me the things that she keeps bringing up, and the connections are just really astounding.
Yeah, it's a lot of finer points to go behind, like what Carrier is saying. He's talking about the angel with many names, or what Philo was talking about. But he wouldn't have time to go. I feel like a preschooler. The stuff is so intricate. You get into the Sefer Yetzirah and the Zohar and the Kabbalah and that, but it has a little bit of. I think all of that came out of Merkava mysticism, but I think Paul's coming out of at least some kind of proto Merkava mysticism, which is basically it's like Ezekiel, Isaiah. People go to heaven and they have a vision of God and they have a revelation, and that's it's kind of the whole story.
Right. Yeah.
So,
it's
and then
the
Midrash. Yeah.
Right. And as
I don't want to use
atheists,
all these.
I was gonna say, as atheists, we don't need there to have been a real Jesus. We don't need there to have been a real Moses. But the fact is, the closer you look at these guys, the less they look real. And it's like, we would be perfectly fine if there was a real Jesus, real Moses, real fill in the blank for all the rest of the guys. Their religion would still be just as much bullshit. But the fact that they seem to be mythological right out of the gate blows my mind. Just blows my mind.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's kind of the thing too, is to just say, where does the evidence lead? I'm good either way. I was Christian for 40 years, and it's not that I don't want to believe. A lot of people say you're just an atheist. You don't want to believe Jesus exists.
Right.
I did, and it was.
Yeah.
I put down Earl Doherty's, the Jesus puzzle, and I just stared at the wall for 3 days because I was like,
Earl Doherty is what got me on this traffic too. It's like all of us, and I know for a fact that Richard Carrier dedicates his latest book to Earl Doherty, and fair play to him, because none of us would be here if it weren't for Earl Doherty, and I can't say that enough. Yeah.
Yeah, and the cognitive dissonance, even if I was a pretty progressive Christian at that point. I figured Jesus was probably just a mythologized person, like most people did.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a real guy. It never even crossed my mind to think that there wasn't a Jesus, even when I was I've been an atheist for 16 years. And the ironic thing is that I wanted to know which of the Gospels was giving us the real Jesus. And that's when I started doing a deep dive. And it's like, this is where my troubles began, is because once you start looking at the gospel and realize, well, they can't all be right, because this one says this one says this, and these are not the same Jesuses we're talking about at all. And then you start reading Earl Doherty, and you realize maybe none of this is real. And
and once you start going that, well, it's like you said, take off your gospel-colored glasses. Stop reading. That's all I can tell people, is stop reading the New Testament through the Gospels. Take those off. It's Paul. Everything that we have indicates that it's probably Paul first.
Yeah.
And then, the Gospels of Mark.
And he wasn't even the first. And he was just, he's one of the earlier ones.
That's what we have. Right. He wasn't even the first. You're right. But out of Pauline Christianity, that's kind of what we basically have. But you're right. He wasn't even the first. But it was...
when you read Paul's genuine letters, and he's talking about, all these other fake Christianities out there, fake gospels and fake Christ that they're pushing, it's like, don't fall for them, Don't go to their Lord's Supper. That's the demon's Lord's Supper. No, go to our Lord's Supper. Yeah, exactly.
I used to think in some multiverse, all the other Jesuses. What kind of different Christianities are there out there? I don't know.
Like all the different
Paul's was fun though. I mean, he no circumcision. Then you get to have bacon.
What's funny is those internet quiz, like, what of the 12 dwarves are you? What house are you? I want to do who's your Jesus kind of a thing. And you totally could do it. There's so many of them floating around. Yeah.
Well, there are. Well, nowadays I guess it's the Christian nationalist Jesus, which is who knows what.
God. Yeah, that's a scary ass Jesus for sure. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And the thing kills me is these guys don't read their own Bible. They'll hold it up like it's to ward off vampires, but they don't read the damn thing. And if they did, the ones who do are the ones who wind up being atheists down the road. It's especially the clergy, especially the ministers. Yeah.
No, like you said, I think you're the clergy. You would give talks, and some of them were saying, "We already know this." They teach us this in seminary.
Yeah.
The priests, they know. There's no way they can't know that.
Yeah.
This isn't history, really. I mean, maybe they think a little bit more. They just there's no way they can think that. You can't follow this all the way to the end.
That's what I think about, like, the Catholic Church and the Mormon Church. It's like, you go to a certain level, there's no way you can't know this is all unflinching bullshit. And same with the Southern Baptists, it's like, if you study this enough, you can either be an intellectually honest person or a Christian, but you can't do both at the same time. Look, you've got a cat coming up behind you.
Oh, that's Rudy, Morty.
Yeah. Usually it's me who has a cat. In fact, there's a cat right here. Come and say hi. I literally have 10 cats in the neighborhood behind me here.
I'm lucky I don't have a puppy in here just destroying my whole setup. We'll see. We rescued a border collie.
Elmano.
So and Ruby's gonna play with my string lights. We'll see what happens.
Well, we'll see what happens. Usually we have a guest star pop on my lap at some point, which could totally happen. But
I've got fairy lights up, and she thinks they're fascinating. Hopefully,
gosh! We had a moth in the house the other night, and boy, you would have think World War III had just broken out. That was 4th of July in here.
Survive. Yeah, you get a cricket or a grasshopper or something, and that's the end of it. So. Short, not long for this world.
Exactly. I don't know if we have any calls
Mhm.
in the queue already or not. But let us know if we do. Otherwise, we can keep talking.
That would be my dog.
Oh yes. Oh
Sorry.
yes.
Need to shut the door. Yeah, my son's trying to get him under control. Sorry.
Mafugi and too.
All right, I need my glass. I'm gonna need my readers. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Oh, look at you.
I can see better. Yes.
So tell the folks a little bit more
I'm
about
not
the
that
deep
age.
dive
Sorry.
that you've been doing.
Yeah, I was I was telling you guys in the group chat a little bit about Rabbi Menachem Schneerson was talking about the Yeshua Sar Hapanim literature. That's it's in some of the literature, but anyway, it's basically Jesus, Prince of the Faith or Prince of the Presence, which is the name of the angel,
Uh,
one of the main angel. Which, like Justin Sledge says, he states that Paul believes that Jesus is the divine kavod, which is like the glory of God, which because we're talking about a lot of different traditions and each kind of sect takes their own, like sort of go in their own direction
and
with it.
actually, that's an important point to make too. Is that in the first century, Judaism has never been as as diverse as it was then. I think there's like 18 factions that we know about. Yeah, Richard Carey would know better than that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I want to say there was just some we only know their names, but there was definitely all kinds of things going on, and so much so that no matter how the first century played out, there was a Jewish faction that said, "Oh yes, we predicted this, that this was going to happen."
Right. Right. And that it's very apocalyptic, and that's part of all of the Merkava mysticism part
Yeah,
too. But this basically what Richard Carey was talking about is the angel with many names, and that's what Philo's talking about. And that's
yeah,
basically there's a lot of names. You're not really supposed to talk about the names of the angel, but um, that's what Rabbi Schneerson was saying. He's like he he was kind of arguing against it being Jesus the man, but he was saying no, this is um, Yehoshua or it was he had a different name, right? Yeshayahu, who was one of the names of the Metatron, which would be this angel basically. So he's basically saying that's one of the names of the Metatron, which he's not aware of the mythicist hypothesis. So in arguing against Jesus the man, he's already telling you that this is one of the names of the angel, which was the
gotcha,
great angel.
gotcha. Well,
At
let
least
me
in
ask you a quick
the
question, real
Israel.
fast. Rabbi Sneerson, he's the head of the Ludovicers, the East Coast,
I
or is
think
that somebody
so, yeah.
different? If it
I
is,
gotta look back on
he
it.
was
Look through so
also
much stuff.
his followers also thought he was the Messiah as well, even while he was still alive.
Yeah, yeah, they did. Yeah, so there's lots of stuff. Everybody thinks it's amazing how that pattern goes. But it would be, it's just interesting for him to just say that um, as one of that was one of the names. And from my research that I've seen, that is one of the names of the angel. It's just that you're not allowed to talk about it that often. So there is a
Gotcha,
tradition of that.
gotcha.
It's just Jehovah saves. And in Merkava tradition, that was kind of one thing that was emphasized is how God will save us. God saves us over and over. This angel kind of appears in the Bible. A lot of times the angels get memorized, but he's popping up, saving Israel, popping up and
Yeah.
saving Israel.
And
So I think the New Testament does that.
what time frame are we talking about for this? Is this like medieval, rabbinical, post Second Temple?
I gotta look.
Do we know?
Yeah.
Do we even know? Yeah.
God, this goes back far.
Hmm.
Well, even like sorry, I'm losing my AirPod here.
And
Um,
like, did this begin with like Philo, or was this already in the flow
this
beforehand?
this thing's back for a while because even I feel like I always feel like such a beginner with it because there's these Jewish scholars that have been doing this for so long. But like Justin Sledge says, the Elijah cycle, the Moses cycle is like a reiteration of the Elijah cycle. And
Mm.
there's an angel. The angel goes back to Elijah. So it's kind of like a theophany of God that becomes this intermediary angel, sort of an avatar, because God basically with like Moses, like you can look at you can look at my butt, but not my not my face.
Right,
Your
right.
face will die.
And it feels like these figures
But then
keep getting rebooted for the next generation as well, and
right,
again and again and again.
exactly.
Yeah,
So you kind of become, and mythologically, you need this um, intermediary being. It's like
right.
an avatar of God, so that you won't be just completely Raiders of the Lost Ark face melt off when you see them.
Yeah, yeah,
And that sort of takes on a life of its own hypostasis there, and then it's almost like the name of this angel, one of the names went crazy and became, Jesus. And there's a medieval Jewish commentator, Rashi, who argues that um, Michael takes on that that intermediary kind of
yeah.
sacrificial or undergoes a passion. But
Gotcha,
to the Jews, that is God's way. That the angel is the vessel of God's mercy.
gotcha.
And so you don't worship the angel because God did it. So the
Right,
Christians are kind of blasphemous in that,
right. And on the
Um,
other hand, Jehovah's Witnesses totally say that Michael equals Jesus, Jesus equals Michael. So
well,
it's
that's
it's
like a
interesting.
Daryl D. Hannah's book is kind of like, yeah, might be
Yeah,
same,
yeah,
another, you know, another name for the same angel. Very, very possible.
yeah, yeah.
Michael's known as the angel of the Lord, and if he's the same as Jesus, I mean, Richard Carey did that article on Daryl Hannah's, Daryl D. Hannah, so not Splash, but yeah, the scholar. Um, that he makes a good argument that this is, these are different names for the same
Yeah,
celestial being.
yeah.
So,
And
and the more you look at it, the more you see these kind of, you could see where Midrash could come in and
right.
people could start coming up with some good stories.
And that's something we have to keep in mind too, is that these are concepts, these are characters, and so they're constantly getting reinvented. There's never just the one true Metatron, then one true Jesus, the one true. It's like
Right.
every generation does their own thing with it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, and there's the humbling of the Metatron. There's a story of that where the Metatron gets whipped,
yeah.
the great angel, there's a lot of these little kind of parallel stories in Jewish literature where you
Yeah.
see these, and you're kind of like, well, that's weird because Jesus does too. So are they trying to tell us stuff? It's the same thing with the youth. I don't think that's anything kinky. I wonder if that's an allusion to the Metatron or the angel, all those things.
Yeah.
We've talked
Yeah.
about some
I
of that stuff.
yeah. I'm with those scholars who say that it's clothing is a reference, a metaphor for the body. So when he goes away naked, that's when he's losing his life. And where do we see him again? At the tomb, where he's got brand new clothing, brand new life.
Yeah, I think
But
it's
that's
literary
not to say
metaphor.
that not to say that these things can play
Mhm.
off each other and have multiple meanings,
Yeah.
and be
Well, it may be
reinvented.
that, it might be something for the, like the initiates, the higher initiates might read it
There
on a
you go.
certain level. The
There
lower
you go.
may, anyway, it's like in the Sefer Yetzirah, there's justice and mercy, and the Tiferet hangs between the two of them. And there's Jesus. You have a thief on one side, one gets justice, one gets mercy. So there's these sort of midrash symbols and things like that.
Yeah.
But the Sacred Yetzirah is coming out of Merkava mysticism, so these might be similar traditions and
Yeah.
ideas that
Yeah.
they're taking the Bible and they're creating these ideas and systems and stories. So it's really interesting to look at it that way. The Bible has way more layers when you stop trying to make it into this.
And those roots go down deep, and they go surprisingly far away. It's amazing how much
Yeah.
Persia, how much Greece, how much Homer
Yeah,
directly influenced Judaism and Christianity. It's amazing.
a lot of paganism.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And Islam, right out of those Christian heretics who get pushed out into the desert, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, their scriptures have become Islamic scriptures. They come the Quran, but yeah,
Funny how that happens.
it is crazy. I mean, arguably, you could say Satanism is a spinoff of Christianity, and I mean, you make a better case of that than the other way around. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, I mean, well, like, then you have these, you've got the more, I was driving DC Beltway the other day and the Mormon temple just like looms over the Beltway. So you have spin-offs on top of spin-offs, even off of Christianity. So,
Yeah.
but that's the same thing we were talking about. That's a good reference that Joseph, uh, Joseph Smith and Moroni. And that's like Richard Carrier says. That is like kind of the same thing as Paul, and Jesus. This is revelatory angel. That is a very good metaphor, a good way to put it.
I don't want to interrupt. We've got a comment from Jameer Villarosa. To deny you're an atheist is to deny your God-given role. That's the real sin here. I'm not even sure what to make of that. If you're not an atheist, if you believe you're filling a God-given role, period, you cannot be a married bachelor, pal. Sorry. I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
What you're saying makes no sense. Therefore, go with God.
Yeah.
If you want to break that down a little bit more, Hamir,
I don't know that I don't know if I can on it. I don't know. Like double negative. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do that. They're like, you can't be an atheist.
That delights me. That's when people like say things like, "Oh, the contradictions in the Bible prove that it's true." I lump that in that same file as people who say things like that. Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's just different versions, and you see that just different versions of mythology that are trying to be reconciled.
This is the thing, and it's like the more you learn about everybody else's religion out there, the more you see how they're stealing from each other and cross-pollinating with each other, and the harder it is to take any one of them seriously.
Everybody else is syncretistic, but not me. This is history.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I was just going to say, what fascinates me the most these days is just keep doing the deep dives into where these religious ideas came from and how Christianity. Well, let's go from the tippy top. Islam comes from Syrian Christianity. Christianity comes from Judaism. Judaism comes from Zoroastrianism. Zoroastrianism comes from Proto-Zoroastrianism, and these things just all our major religions today, Eastern religion, Western religion, we can all trace them back to about the mid second century BC or second millennium BC or so, coming from that Aryan steppe era. Not to say they're the oldest religions or the most important religions, but all our religions today, we can trace their common ancestor to that part of Iran, that part of northwestern India, and you can see the split where it's like, okay, this becomes Persia, this becomes Zoroastrianism, this becomes Christianity, et cetera, the Abrahamic faiths, this becomes Buddhism, this becomes Hinduism. I don't know. For me, it's super exciting to see how these things trace out. I'm curious to see what if other people are interested in that as well. And it looks like you've frozen up. I'm not sure if you can hear me or see me. Oh, now I see two of you. Here we go.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my internet's a little bit jumpy today. Sorry, folks. I don't know why. Luckily, I got my 19-year-old son to keep looking me up.
Oh, good.
Good. He knows something about something.
Good
Can you see me? Okay.
Yeah, I see Skeptic Haven popping in.
There we go.
Yeah, it's bouncing around.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Any other calls? Any other questions that we need to address? Cole says we have a call. Do we need to do anything about that? Is there a caller waiting to be? Oh, I thought I heard somebody. I don't know. Kristyn, are you having any better luck?
Hey.
Hello, caller. Are you there?
Hey. Yep.
Hi. Who are we talking to?
Is this the David Fitzgerald?
It is. I am he. You're with Kristyn and David. Who are we talking to?
Yeah. Jesus Tales. I go by Jesus Tales online.
Jesus Tales. JT, can we call you JT?
Yeah.
All right.
So I was curious about what Kristyn was talking about with Elisha being a forerunner of Jesus, because I think there's definitely a huge literary connection there.
Yeah, same.
Well, I've got to do more research on it, but so Dr. Justin Sledge has stated in his Merkava Mysticism seminar, which is great, that he thinks the Elijah cycle predates the Moses cycle, even though the Moses cycle was written in earlier in history. He thinks the Elijah cycle came first.
And I'm not so sure the Moses cycle came earlier than that. It looks like, in fact, the earliest it started was a Moses figure in the 4th century BC. That's not our Moses. And then there's another generation of Moses. That's not our Moses either. It's not until around the 2nd century, 3rd century that we get our Moses. And it's clearly a reaction to those ones. Anyway.
It's kind of like our Bible's reaction to the Marcion. It's kind of like we get a lot of what we have is a reaction to other things.
Sure.
But there's a connection that I've been reading. I need to do more on it. But the Enoch Elijah, there's we see them both. They both get taken up to heaven in a fiery chariot, and they go to So I read a little bit about there might be a tradition. They might have kind of separated out, but there might be a connection in those two literary traditions.
Yeah.
So it is interesting. You see Jesus on the mount with Elijah and Moses. So they're I'm not sure, but there's a lot more, like I said, I need to do. I want to read up on, but there's this maybe a connection between Enoch and Elijah in the mythology. And so it might be an iteration of this angel over and over again, another cycle of this angel.
Yeah. And it's interesting that the book of Enoch is one of the few books outside the Bible mentioned in the Bible. In fact, it's the only book they mention that is a real book, not just a bullshit book. So
and that's one of the ones that they mention Michael and Moses' body and that type of thing, and that gets you into the Heklat literature. So there may be a connection. There's so many things that have been trying to be kind of covered up with reform, but there may be a connection where Elijah may originally have been something like what Enoch was,
right,
or some sort of connection to that tale, something similar.
Yeah. I see Elijah is completely a remake of Moses and not the other way around. And part of that reason is when Elijah's being introduced, the verse prior explains, the verses prior talks about a building program. So that's straight from Exodus chapter 1. And you could argue that goes the other way around. However, one of those verses about building was rebuilding Jericho, and they mention Joshua, son of Nun, which in the Greek is Jesus, son of Nun.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a textual clue that this is about the Exodus conquest. And when Elijah gets taken up to heaven, the path that he follows, if you read any kind of commentary on it, they'll be confused as why he follows that path. That path is the path that Jesus took, or Joshua took, in the conquest in the book of Jesus, or the book of Joshua.
Mhm.
And so they take that path to the east side of the Jordan River, where Elisha gets the spirit from Elijah. And the reason they go there is because that's where Jesus, son of Nun, got the spirit of wisdom from Moses. So it's rewritten literature, and it's in the details of the narrative. Like 90% of the details of the book of Mark come from the Exodus conquest.
I think bump up those numbers a bit, because I think it's closer. 100% is all taken from the Jewish scriptures for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, good point. That's pretty brilliant.
I wouldn't say just randomly Jewish scriptures though. It's coming
no, he's very deliberate in what he does, and Matthew, who's following him, goes out of his way to say, "Oh, and this was done in order to fulfill this." Mark doesn't do that. He expects his educated readers to know what he's doing, and everybody else to just accept it as a nice story. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
You see it as a cycle again.
For Mark, it's not about Jesus. For Mark, it's about Jerusalem.
Well, I mean, tomato. Yeah. He's telling a story. What if God was one of us? Why didn't God save Jerusalem? Why didn't he save the temple? Because he did. He secretly did. It was a stealth Messiah. And then everybody else goes from there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, his message was rejected 40 years before Jerusalem fell. And that comes from Moses' Exodus conquest as well.
Yeah. I don't know if you're familiar, JT, with Russell Gamerkin's work on the Pentateuch, but he makes an incredibly demonstrative case that though that came into a final version and was united in a Jewish context in the year 273 or 274 in Alexandria, Egypt, by Jewish scholars, and that for me, that's just a game changer for any kind of Old Testament work. You need to start with that. But as you say, it's like which comes first and which comes second. There's definitely they're playing hopscotch with each other, whichever direction they're going.
I asked him about that. I said, "Look, I can show where Elijah's coming off of Moses and Jesus."
Yeah.
And he said, "Yeah, those are Greek heroes too. They're in the Greek hero pattern."
Yeah.
So.
Even Elisha is a there's some retreading going on right there already, right in the story itself. Because Elijah
the original Elisha is promised as a warrior, just like Jesus, son of Nun, was a warrior. In 1 Kings chapter 19, on Mount Horeb, he is promised as a warrior, and he's going to kill a bunch of people, but he never does that.
Yeah. So, once we get into the history of the Deuteronomistic history, it's fascinating to see how they were creating. They act like they're rebooting a religion that was already there, and it's so obvious that no, their old religion was polytheism. When you hear Ezekiel complaining about, they're worshiping the sun, they're mourning for Tammuz, they've got these flaming chariot horses, it's really obvious right there in the temple. It's really obvious that polytheism and the high places and the Asherahs, that was the native religion of Judaism. And all this Yahweh only business, that was retrofitted after the Babylonian exile. And so much of it came right out of Persia. So much of what we think of as Judaism came straight out of Persian Zoroastrianism. But
Dan McLeod likes to say that there's no monotheism in the Bible at all.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
That's
Okay. Yeah. It's got a thin veneer.
Yeah, exactly. tip of the hat to monotheism. It's like, oh, they kept forgetting. Oh, silly Hebrews. They just kept forgetting there was one true God and all the rest are fake gods that never even existed. Again and 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 again. Yeah. I don't know if you read about. Are you familiar with the Elephantine Papyri?
A little bit, but not much.
It's this collection of Jewish writings from a Jewish mercenary colony in Egypt. I want to say in the 5th century. It's either 7th century or 5th century. I think it's the 5th century. And we have about 100 years of their correspondence, their court records, you name it. We've got all these surviving documents from there. And in there, we find that not only do they have their own temple, but they worship their own form of Yahweh and his wife, and at least 3 other gods, maybe more, but at least 3 others. They've got 5. And it's not like there's some mutant spin-off of Judaism that land that time forgot. They're in communication with the temple in Jerusalem at a time when there's only supposed to be the temple in Jerusalem. And yet they are in constant contact. They defer to the judgment of the priests, and the judgments they get aren't based on Mosaic law. There's nothing about Abraham. There's nothing about the 12 tribes. There's nothing about Moses. They don't seem to have any awareness of any of that. And yet, this is what Judaism is as late as the 5th century BCE, or about 1,000 years.
Yeah, I think I heard they had some form of Passover that didn't match exactly.
Well, here's the thing.
Anything in the Bible.
They get a letter. They have a letter from the Persian governor, not even the Jewish governor. The Persian governor says, "Oh, right. Here's this festival. It's called Passover. Here's how you do it." And their instructions for how you do Passover are not the same as Jews today. How they do Passover. It's not the same. Yeah, and there's like no names of anybody from Abraham to Solomon appears in their names. It's like those things don't exist yet, almost because they didn't exist yet. That's the thing. So yeah, it's incredibly mind-blowing to me and fascinating to see that come about. And it totally tracks with what the archaeological evidence is saying, too. It's like, yeah, it looks like what we call Judaism really took off when the Hasmonean kingdom, when the first independent Jewish kingdom came about. Then you have them creating what we call Judaism, and taking what the history that was put together after Babylon to give Judaism the street cred that the Babylonians and the Egyptians already had, that kind of thing. It's totally fascinating to me.
And then you have all the things. Jewish wars and all that.
Sorry.
Oh no, you're fine. Continue. I'm sorry. I was just saying the Jewish wars, all that comes in there too, and that kind of throws a wrench in the history of things. So many things kind of get lost, and you have to start over too.
Yeah, we cut you off for a second there, JT. Do you have something more wanted to say?
We may have lost him.
We may have lost him.
Yeah.
No, I'm here.
Oh, you're here.
Yeah, I was trying not to talk over Kristyn.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead and continue. I was saying the Jewish wars sort of threw another wrench in the machinery there. That a lot of things get lost and destroyed, and the temple got destroyed. So
yeah,
a lot of things kind of messed up a few things there. But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No. Yeah, I was just looking up Justin Sledge. I guess he's the guy from Esoterica. That's the YouTube guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does some really great work, and he's a historicist. He's not a mythicist, but a lot of the people that are doing some really important work, I think, on Jesus as an angel are actually not mythicists, because that's a whole can of worms they probably don't feel like getting into. But
it's so funny you say that, because Bart Ehrman, I can't think of a bigger historicist than he is. Oh no, there definitely was Jesus. And yet his own work supports the mythos theory at least as well, if not better, than his idea that he was just a failed apocalyptic prophet. And there's nothing, there's nothing implausible about that, but that's not what we see when we dig into it, you know? Yeah.
No.
Well, the failed apocalyptic prophet theme comes straight from the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah,
any number of others. Yeah, absolutely. But the question is, if he was that, why did the Romans give a rat's ass? They didn't give a shit about that kind of thing. Yeah. What if he was a blasphemer? Why wasn't he just stoned to death for blasphemy? Just like Mosaic law says, it's like, you know. And don't get me started on his trial, because nothing in his trial makes sense historically at all. But
yes, and it's straight out of the literature of Jeremiah being arrested, and accused, and in Jeremiah's case, he's released. But when he's released, they use the same words that I think John has Pilate use before sending him over to another district.
Yeah.
So
you can say the same thing about the suffering servant in Isaiah. Same thing. The first part of that chapter, or in Psalms 21, the first part of that Psalms fits perfectly with Jesus. The second half, not so much. But you don't hear anybody talking about that being an incredible prophecy of Jesus. You know. Yeah.
It has to fit.
Right.
Cut and paste.
It literally is cut and paste. Yeah.
Yeah. It is. It is. But it's an interesting cycle that I don't know, it's what I keep seeing this reboot. It's like rebooted more times than Superman.
Yep.
And
it's also funny to see how the different gospel writers, how they take Mark's original and then change it over this way and change it in this direction, and then throw it all out the window and put their own thing in, you know. And those are just the 4 that made the cut. You know, we've got other things that didn't make the cut. And some of the books, we're lucky to have Mark, and some of the books of the Bible, we're lucky to have them full stop. And it's just because they were too popular to get left out. Not because they play well with the other books in the Bible. That was never the case.
Well, you know, people were never really supposed to be reading that on their own anyway. Yeah.
What were you saying, Kristyn?
No, people, you know, they when these were created, and even for years after, you know, people weren't supposed to be putting all this together and reading it. The average human being wasn't supposed to be.
That's such a good point to make. It's like these guys didn't set out to write the gospel according to Matthew, the gospel according to John. They wanted to set out to write the one true gospel, and they didn't think anybody would have the other books to them. Yeah. JT, you started to say something. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think Mark is kind of in the same mode as the Elisha tales, which reworked the Moses Jesus tales.
Yeah.
And it's in the same mode as Jeremiah rewriting the Exodus conquest. Jeremiah actually inverts it. He gets kidnapped and they go back to Egypt and they say they're going to worship the Queen of Heaven instead of Yahweh.
Right.
But so he's simply rewriting in the same mode that the rest of the Hebrew Bible is being written in. And so it's kind of weird that it gets rejected by some.
It is. And you could say the same thing about Zechariah. You could say about the Psalms. There, you can see exactly where Mark is pulling these things out. I think it's also worth pointing out too that there's more than one Jeremiah, just like there's more than one Isaiah. There's more than one Micah. We already have forgeries written in that corpus for these guys. So anytime I hear somebody quoting, "Oh, well, Isaiah says this," well, which Isaiah are we talking about? Did Jeremiah say this? Well, which Jeremiah are we talking about?
Yeah.
It makes it like what Kristyn was talking about very earlier. It makes it very hard to distinguish what they're working on. For instance, one section where Elijah is directly using language coming out of Exodus 16 about getting manna, where the Israelites get manna from heaven.
Yeah.
When that story is retold in Numbers, he actually uses words that are directly used in the Elijah narrative, and then Numbers 11 retells Exodus 16, and he uses language blaming God, asking why did this happen?
Gotcha.
A different section of Numbers 11. So he's actually using Numbers, which is based on Exodus. So it's it gets very complicated.
I would so love to have the documents that the guys who made our Pentateuch were working off of, because there was just a whole library they were borrowing from. Yeah. But the fascinating thing is, we know some of the books they're borrowing from. We know they borrowed from Berosus. We know they borrowed from Manetho. And they borrowed from Babylonian mythology, but what they borrowed came from the lens of this guy Berosus, because our Babylonian mythology in the Bible matches what Berosus says more than it does the actual Babylonian mythology. So it's clear it's dependent on that guy. That's kind of thing. Not to overuse the word, but it's fascinating to me to make those connections and to see another piece of the puzzle slide into place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely. I can see Moses as being fairly late, but then I just try to work through these texts as relative dates, so I really don't worry about their actual historical dates at all.
Well, I mean, we do and we don't. I think there comes a point where you realize, oh, wait a second. If this came now, that means these other things that are after it, there's a kind of a line of dominoes, especially with the Deuteronomistic history. It's like, when was this written? It purports to be about this time 1,000 years earlier, 1,500 years earlier, but when you realize, oh no, this is coming after the Babylonian exile, this may be coming in the Hellenistic period, it really changes how we need to look at these things. And I think the Moses story is a perfect example of that. It's like, oh, this is not the cornerstone. The Jews in Elephantine, they don't know anything about this, and they still call themselves Jews. What it meant to be a Jew in the 5th century, it's not the same as what it meant to be a Jew in the 2nd century BCE.
I think we're just beginning to grasp how much.
I think so too.
Big it was, and
I think so too.
Christianity had such a grip on things for so long, and then you couldn't diverge from the narrative because they held so much money and power and education and scholarship.
Absolutely.
So I think we're barely beginning to understand how really diverse Judaism was, and how diverse Christianity was when it started too.
And as for the New Testament, same for the Old Testament, same with the Quran, same with Buddhism. It just astounds me how much, the more we keep looking at the context for all these things, how we see the connections and how.
Good grief. Who was it? Was telling me. David Oliver Smith. I'm sure other scholars argue that too. That Islam came out of Syriac Christianity, or maybe some of
It seems really apparent that the major portions of the Quran are actually reworked Syrian. You call them Syrian Orthodox. It's more Syrian heresy. Absolutely, but right out of Christianity.
So
and particularly that particular flavor of Christianity too. So it's not a mistake. I talk about in Playing God how the Arab conquest of that region, it was Byzantium versus Persia for so long, and those two supergiants were smashing against each other for centuries. and they all had these client states in Arabia, and all these different tribes would compete for their patronage. And so it's no wonder that when Byzantine and Persian empires, when those two collapsed, who was there to fill in the gaps? It was Arabia. And it wasn't that Islam was a result of it wasn't that Islam kicked off the Arabian conquest. The Arabian conquest led to Islam. When they had an empire of their own, then they needed a religion to bind everybody together.
Well, it's kind of like Christianity with Constantine. You had that. It worked for him.
Absolutely.
He had, it kind of helped him staple the two sides together of the empire.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And you see that playing out in different ways, East and West, all our top 10 major world religions, you see that same pattern playing out.
Yeah.
And
it's not manifest destiny.
It is not. It is not. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it fascinates me too, is we think of the Western religions over here, the Abrahamic faiths over here, and Buddhism and Hinduism over here, and they're worlds apart. And it's like, no, they're no. And it's the split wasn't even that long ago. We can guesstimate when that was happening,
Yeah. I always thought it was good at like languages. It's sort of like the same thing. You have a tree and there's branches, and it's you can trace religious ideas, and that's sort of the same way you can trace languages and words and concepts like that. It's very similar.
And just how you conceive of what God is or gods are changes according to, like, are you a caveman in a cave? Are you a family? Are you a clan? Are you a tribe? Are you and as you become a city state, and as you the more inclusive you start getting, the more your God is not just a hill god or a mountain god or a river god. He's the God of everybody, and he created everything, and it's more and more transcendent as you're trying to include more and more diverse cultures underneath the same umbrella. And so it's no coincidence that at the time we start seeing all these cosmopolitan empires come together, that's when gods start becoming these transcendent things that are for everybody, universal.
Yeah, it's useful that way. Again,
very handy, very useful, very useful. Yeah.
Power in politics. That's the name of the game.
So true. Was ever thus. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really what religion serves, power and politics. It's still doing it. It's still doing it right now. It's doing it in America. So it serves power and politics. We're dealing with that with Christian nationalism right now. So I don't know. I was on some podcast, and I was like, I feel like I'm throwing so much at you all, but this was in 2023. I said I feel like the Christian nationalists are trying to really take over, the government a lot, and then lo and behold,
here we are.
2025. So but I think that's why I do a lot of what I do, because I want people to start. There's so many people, my family members, people I know, they just don't use their brains. They don't dig into this stuff.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they don't, and because it's an identifier for them. It's tribal for them. We are this, they are that, and it doesn't matter where you land. You'll just pick your own little tribe. So they don't need to read the Bible. They don't need to read about Druidism and Sephardic religion, or there's a whole branch that we call Western religion. It doesn't matter where you are on that. It doesn't matter whether you're Western or Eastern, if it's Islamic, Christian, Judaism, or all the in-betweens that play out on that feather. Is like, it's just a identifier for you. It's just who you are. And we don't need, it's like the signing off on the computer when they say, yes, did you read this? And you read, oh yes, I read it all. And I check off. That is what I believe.
The terms and conditions,
Terms and conditions, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. But that's why
Yep.
you need to read your David Fitzgerald books. So
There you go. Well, once again, Kristyn has
But
shown us
it's
the true
easy.
way. Yes. And honestly, I do think all the atheists out there will love that trilogy of books because again, it's not just Jesus. It's all of them. It's all of them.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
that
just
was,
find it endlessly fascinating. No matter where you are looking at, you can see where it shows up in these patterns. Yeah.
yeah. Well, for me, I remember being in college and taking a geography class, and the first, like I said, I've been raised in the Assemblies of God. Very spent a lot of time in church memorizing Bible verses. But I remember reading about Zoroastrianism and that realizing how similar that was to Christianity and realizing that
Oh,
came before Christianity. And
and you know what's funny is that's not even controversial. That's not even
right,
controversial in scholarly. It's like, oh, of course, Zoroastrians, and when you see, at least when you dig into was Zoroaster a historical person, you see the same umbrage from scholars of Zoroastrianism that what? But of course he was a real Zoroaster. And it's like,
right,
this isn't Christianity, right? This is not your religion. And in fact, it persecuted Jews and Christians at one time. Um,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. It's wild to me. You see the same knee-jerk responses, no matter which God you're talking about, no matter which branch of the Abrahamic faith or the Eastern faith. I'm amazed how much Buddhists have jumped on me about playing God. Book 3 is like, whoa, when you write about Islam, yes, absolutely. Whoa, wait, Buddha, no. It's yeah. Oh, we have a caller still on. Oh, is it TJ still?
Yeah, what's going on?
JT, I mean, not TJ.
New caller.
New
Or
caller.
maybe
Who
different.
are we talking to?
This is still Jesus Tales.
Oh, no worries.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you guys are doing great carrying the show, so I didn't feel like I needed to interrupt.
Oh, fair enough. Do
Do
we have
you
any other
any
callers
more?
waiting? That's my only
Oh,
reservation about talking more to you, JT.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know
But
if they got another person on the line.
okay, they'll let us know, I think. But yeah, if you had anything else you needed to say, let us. Yeah, we'll stop talking for a minute and give you a chance to weigh in.
yeah, you made some great points.
Yeah. Oh, not yet. We're hearing. Apparently,
Well,
there's a caller waiting to be waiting, I guess.
oh
So go ahead.
yeah. There's a caller coming. Thanks, and you guys have a good night.
Oh, JT,
Thank
thanks
you.
so much.
Nice to
Yay.
talk to you, JT.
Good talking to you, JT. From North Carolina, if I'm reading that right. Yeah.
Jesus Tales.
Yeah.
Is that a page on Facebook? I have to check him out.
I missed some of that. What did you say?
Did he say he said he does Jesus Tales, or is that a?
Jesus Tales is his handle that he's using tonight.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was a Facebook. Maybe I don't know if that was a Facebook page too.
Could be.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
I'll check you out. Good. Yeah.
But
I forgot.
I always love talking to people like JT who have done their own deep dives into this because I always learn something that I didn't know before. And I love being made less wrong about these things or just coming across some perspective I hadn't had before. That's really cool.
No, I think he's right though. I think it's cycles. Like you said, basically it's like it's very complicated, but basically it's rebooting. It's rebooting this literature over and over again.
In a nutshell, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what's kind of important to see. You start seeing these cycles.
Right.
So, and then trying to figure out what came first. A lot of really good scholarship on that lately. There's not as much as I want, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
I really want to see more scholars looking into there's nobody doing it. There's the Jewish Merkava scholars, or Merkaba, you do Merkaba. And then there's mythicists, and there's more historicists looking into the Jesus angel. But I would love to see somebody putting them all together. That's what I'm sort of working on how this
Because
Yeah.
any single one of them, that's not really that interesting. But when you see the patterns for all of them, it's like, oh, I think we're onto something here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And the fact that
And I,
most Christians have never even heard of Zoroastrianism, it's like,
yeah.
dude, you know,
Yeah.
when they learn any of the basics of what Zoroastrian taught, it's like, well, hey, yeah, you don't see that in the Old Testament, but here it is, you know, afterwards. Yeah, absolutely.
Very much so. Very much. It's
Yeah,
fascinating.
yeah. And oh, of course,
Yeah.
I mean, just Canaanite. The fact that the Jews were Canaanites, they were not. They didn't conquer the Canaanites. They were Canaanites. And the further we go back, the more we see how they were the same people, and their whole founding myth of them coming in from you know the Chaldees and taking over. Yeah, that just never happened. It just never
It's like
happened.
Thanksgiving. It's like the American, like Richard
Yeah.
Carrier always says, the Thanksgiving myth of the Indians and
Right. Well, and I think
the myth of unity. So
Mario Liverani made the point that, yeah, of course they have Abraham coming from the Chaldees, because that's where all the Jews in exile were coming from. They were coming from Iran, you know, and so it makes sense that that's how they would reboot and retrofit their founding myth. Yeah.
yeah, that's the yeah. I'm talking about them. Then I'm thinking of like the whole story of Lot and all those things, and they're talking about people not reading the Bible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there should be an atheist like biblical museum where it's all the raunchy stuff in the Bible. Drunk Noah passed out in his tent, naked drunk Noah. You know?
And that's why Ammonites and Moabites are dad fuckers. Yeah, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
you can, yeah. Even their names are puns. When Ammon, Ben-Ami, and the Moabites. Yeah. And it's
They were talking about, well, even like Shem, when you get back to being maybe an iteration going back again, alluding to this angel again. There's a tradition of Shem and this celestial being that. So
I meant to ask you earlier about this. Is how much of Jewish angelology seems to come out of Persian angelology?
a lot.
Have you gotten into that?
A lot,
I
a
think
lot.
so too. I think so too.
Yeah.
And same with demonology as well. But yeah, I think so.
I like I said, I could spend the rest of my life, and I'm pretty old, but I could spend the rest of my life. I feel like you fall down this rabbit hole, but there's like a whole room full of just immense the amount of mythology that you need to go through. But even like Michael can be traced back possibly to Persian mythology. They have a god that might kind of correspond to that. So, I mean, there's a lot.
Well, and
Just
there is a lot,
the
and like so
celestial
many things,
being.
like just the idea of the afterlife comes from
Yeah.
Persia, not from Judaism. When the Jews were saying everybody goes to Sheol, good or bad, and it's a very boring place where nothing happens. They're saying, oh no, there's a good place and a bad place, you know, and we have a good God and a bad God, and you see all these parts in. I see Michael Earhart is ringing in. Hello, I heard my name. Michael, are you with us? Are you on there?
I missed it. Sorry, I'm leaning forward to. I just saw hello.
I heard that too. Michael, can you hear us? Are you there? Just if you are, just start talking. Oh, I said Michael. Oh, and Michael. Oh, I get it. We were talking about Michael. Michael Earhart said, "Oh, did I hear my name?" I see what you did there. Well, we were a little slow.
Sorry, Michael Earhart. Yeah.
Sorry, Michael.
It just pops up when you need my readers. The joke got lost on me.
Yeah, exactly. We're overthinking it here. Yeah.
But even the angel Michael, you may go back to Persian myth. There's scholars that argue connections to that too. I mean, Um, but yeah, even the whole thing of the whole concept of God and then the glory and all that stuff, the divine kavod. That is what Dr. Sledge says, that Paul believed that Jesus was the divine kavod, which was like God's glory. Like
Yeah.
I said, basically becomes this angel, the great angel, angel of the faith, angel of the presence, or the Metatron.
Gotcha.
So,
Gotcha. But
I
yeah, it's
mean, there's
funny
this
though.
whole other tradition, but what was I gonna say? There's these whole other traditions, and gosh, I mean, even like the
It's
name, like, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
well, I was just
I'm
gonna
like,
say I didn't mean to cut you off because you sound like you're onto something good, but I just wanted to say the whole idea of angels is such a holdover from, you can tell it these were the middle management gods that became downsized to angels, but
yes,
it's such a holdover
very
from
much so.
polytheism. Because when you have an
Yes,
omnipotent God who can do anything, knows everything, what do you need these flunkies to do? It's this.
right.
You have to have this idea that God's totally separate from us, and so he needs these intermediaries because he's so super perfect, super everything, omni this, omni that. That these other sons of gods, are the ones
Mm-hmm.
that do the trick. And it's funny to see how that idea changes over time as well. How
Yeah,
first there were all these gods, and then there was just one god, but he had all these other helper gods, and they weren't gods, they were angels. They weren't sons of gods, they were these servants of gods. And it just
right.
they keep shifting the goalposts that way.
Yeah, and you can see same thing like everything does in mythology. It over time becomes more complex. So
Yeah,
you start with something simpler,
yeah,
a, a simpler intermediary being. I know
yeah.
I can't talk tonight, but and
The
that
Trinity is
becomes
a good example of that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's true.
yeah,
But even like one angel becomes multiple angels, but each one has very specific functions, and um, the mythology always becomes a little more. It goes from simple to more complex over
yeah,
time.
yeah,
You know.
yeah.
But that's like you start with one angel with many names, and then maybe that becomes more just angels. So
Right,
people will
right.
think, well, that wasn't this angel, it was that angel. But back in when it originally started, it might have just
Yeah.
been a different name for the same
It's
angel.
like in the
So,
Moses story where the burning bush says, "Oh yeah, in those days I wasn't called Jehovah. Those days I was called El, the supreme Canaanite god." It's like, oh, that's convenient. Yeah. Pay
yeah,
no attention to the God
identify.
behind the curtain here. Yeah. Oh, that was me
Yeah,
too. I was with all that too. Yeah. Um, Baal,
you're no
El, and
longer the knight
Yahweh.
that saved. Yeah,
You mix and match them. It's like it's so hard to tell them apart the further you go back.
yeah,
Um,
it is. It's like sometimes I feel like it's like you're watching a lava lamp. Everything just sort of morphs
yeah,
into
yeah, absolutely.
other.
And and you had more than one Yahweh too. You had the Yahweh of the South,
Yeah,
Yahweh of this, Yahweh of that. Um,
right.
yeah,
True.
yeah.
So yeah,
All the
what
Yahweh.
God? People always say that. What God? What God are you following? What God
Same
are you
thing.
praying to? I ask people that
Yeah,
all the time. What
absolutely.
God are you praying to?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
God is
Dude,
this
there's
and God is this. It's which God wants this according to this Bible verse, and He wants something else according to that Bible verse.
God is beyond our ways. We can't understand him, and yet I tell you everything he wants you to do, say, or vote. I got the fast track to him. Yeah, this bumper
Yeah.
sticker. I said it. God believes it. That settles it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which part of
There's
the Bible are we going to pull
right.
out?
Oh yeah. Oh, and is it the right Bible? Are you interpreting the correct Bible the correct way? It never ends. It never ends. Let
Yeah.
me take a slightly different tack. Do you remember? You probably don't because you're such a young slip of a girl, and I'm an old man. There was
Yeah, right.
a PBS series by James Burke called "The Day the Universe Changed." I think it was in the '80s, maybe,
And I
which
was
was a time
shoot.
before 40 years ago, apparently. Yeah.
Oh, I was
Um,
I was around.
okay. Well,
I was probably reading like the late great Planet Earth or something by Hal Lindsey back
right,
then.
right. Back when the Antichrist was invented, yeah. Um,
Yeah.
well, James Burke had this show, and like every chapter, every episode of it, he would talk about how these ideas came, and they just changed the way we thought about everything. And I feel like
Hmm.
we could do that with the idea of gods too. And in a way, I kind of tried to do that with playing God. Is like back in this time, this is what a god was. This is how you interact with them, and from caveman to shaman to chieftain. There's all these different ways, and like you said, the idea of what an angel is, the idea of who this angel is, keeps changing according to these developments in theology.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
because even if Michael was Jesus, now they're two separate. Saint Michael.
We're talking about fictional characters. You can do whatever you want with any of them all the time, and it's not like there's there's no reality at the corner of it. That's the thing. It's hard to pin it down because these are fictional characters right out of the box, and they're.
I was watching it's that time of year for the jump scare, and the Exorcist movies and stuff. So I was watching I think it was a ritual. It was another Exorcist, and they start praying to Saint Michael. I'm like, well, why don't you just pray to Jesus? I got to bring in Saint Michael now.
Right, or the Virgin. Virgin. Yeah.
And it's very funny though. It's like the Jewish people don't get, they never get possessed by Satan or demons usually. I think.
Actually, somebody did do a Jewish version of The Exorcist a little while ago, a couple of years ago. I think called the Dybbuk. I think that was a Jewish Exorcist movie.
Yeah, Dybbuk is they're a
Protestants jumped on board and made a Protestant Exorcist movie too, not too long ago.
Yeah. They usually are afraid of the Dybbuk is usually a dead person. I think they're more like a wandering soul.
Maybe it may not be a perfect thing, but I do remember them definitely. It's nice they're taking a playbook from the Catholics there.
You gotta keep the movie money rolling in. But exactly. They never get possessed by Satan. It's always a deep. You need to get.
Yeah.
So you only get possessed by whatever your religion allows you to get possessed
this
by.
Is the thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's the fun part. But it's fun. It's fun for all the somebody crawling up a wall. Did they crawl up a wall? The Dybbuk? Did they make you crawl? I don't know. I'm gonna have to watch it now. I think the demons make you crawl up the wall.
I guess so. Yeah.
But everybody prays to Saint Michael because it's usually a Catholic movie. But it's I don't know. It's maybe you could just pray to Jesus from he'll answer to whatever name. I don't know.
The idea that there's all these intermediaries, that's just so crazy polytheistic. You look at in Ireland at least. You look at the saints. Saint Bridget, not to be confused with the goddess Bridget. Saint Anne, not to be confused with the goddess Anya. It's like you know what you're doing. What you're doing.
Yeah. Sneaky.
Yeah.
No, we're not polytheistic.
No, these are saints. They're on our team. John the Baptist. No, he wasn't a part of his own religion. No. He was Jesus' cousin or perfect strangers, depending on who you ask. But he's on our side.
Falky. That's funny. Yeah, no, it's true how and that's the same thing. It's there's two different sects put into, it's like Acts, it's all, it's not happy. It was like the book of Acts, it's it's all made to look like it all harmonized, things that really weren't.
Wouldn't you really love to have an actual Christian history of the first century of Christianity? We wouldn't recognize it.
There'd be a lot of brawling, I think, like the Council of Nicaea, people getting, but it'd be fun to see all the writing and rebuttals, all of that stuff, the writing and rewriting and rearranging, and it'd be interesting to see how things got to be the way they are. The Marcionites, all that. That's cool. There's actually Marcionite Christians.
How awesome would it be? Absolutely. We would not have a New Testament if it weren't for this heretic named Marcion.
Everybody was jumping on him,
And honestly, I think if it weren't for Marcion, we probably wouldn't care that much about Paul either. I don't think he was famous in his own life. It's only after the fact when they're writing this, the retrofitting the history that he becomes the super Paul guy who's rubbing elbows with all these first century celebrities. But yeah, I get the impression he was just one of many number of these guys. And because Marcion liked him in the 2nd century, we like him too. But wouldn't you love to have all the writings from the 1st century of Christianity, from all the Christians who were writing then?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
You just kind of hope somewhere there's something in a jar. I doubt it, but you always hope that there's few more things.
And I've said this before, but even if like Paul wrote 2 letters and put one in a jar, we just found it, we would have no way of knowing. Like, well, here's a weird mutant version of this letter. Yeah, we would have no way of knowing which was the original. Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. We wouldn't know. It's
And of course, all the clergy would say, "Well, this is clearly not official because this does not match with our Bible."
Heresy.
It's heresy. This is crazy nonsense. Yeah. Oh, I remember when.
That's the best part.
Yeah, whenever there's the attention goes on like the Gospel of Judas or something, and they come out, oh no, this is just 2nd century Christian fiction, as opposed to what?
Yeah, it's all Christian fiction.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back. It is. That's what I wish more people would do, though, is look at it, and it's not an insult to look at it in a literary context.
Oh, for sure.
That's where the beauty of it is. That's where the art of it is, really. And then you're missing a lot of the messaging and like I said, the skillful art of it when you're just trying to fit it into history, because it's not history. It's not what it's meant to be.
Right.
So I wish more people would look at it just that way and stop trying to make history what isn't history. And just
that's the job of these scriptures. Scripture's job is to create a bullshit history that we can all agree on and worship. Getting it wrong is the whole point of the exercise. we're trying to redo this thing. Yeah. So
they call it.
but it does make it tricky when you're trying to go into the origins of any particular religion, and I don't want to pick on any one because you're all guilty of it. The more you look at the origins, the more they all start getting dodgy and specious and start using the same crazy excuses, for why we don't have what we need to have to take them seriously.
Yeah, no, it's true. And now, I'm glad we're at a time. We're at a weird time.
Oh God, yeah.
We have the tools to start kind of pulling this apart.
Right.
It looks like
just in time for the United States to get pulled apart, and I'm cautiously optimistic that the more see him doing crazy, flailing, wannabe dictator stuff, the more it's the breakdown of the Trump regime. One hopes, but I have to say I am cautiously optimistic because we're a big ass country for starters. California, the whole West Coast, New York, all these major portions of the country are not on board with him at all. We'll see. Let's not go down that rabbit hole because we'll be here all night.
We'll be there all night. But it's just in terms of I hope more people will start looking at, well, like you said, they could start with your books. Your books are, I'm sorry, I keep plugging them, but they are really fantastic introductory books that are they're not hard to read. They're very easy to read, very easy to listen to. You can get them on Audible, listen to them on your way to work.
Yeah.
But they will get your gears turning. Get your brain thinking about the stuff where it comes from. And
honestly, that's what I hope for. And
if there's Christians out there that want to, pick up a book, you will not catch fire if you pick it up and start reading it.
And here's the thing. And this goes for Christians and atheists alike. It's like, if I'm wrong about any of this, I don't want to be wrong about this. Please let me know where you think I'm wrong about this. and you'd be doing me a favor. I want to be less wrong about religion, and everything else in the world, honestly.
No, nobody wants. I think everybody. Like even Richard Carrier, you can see that in his first his review of
Yeah,
Harold Doherty's book. He's
yeah,
like, I'm surprised. You can
yeah,
see,
yeah.
and the same thing. You don't go in there. You don't go into this expecting or wanting Jesus to not be
This is the
a
thing.
historical person.
This is the thing.
You've been taught this your whole life, and it's
Yeah,
but
yeah,
the evidence leads to where the evidence leads, and it doesn't
yeah.
lead to where it doesn't lead, and that's
And
what we have.
and honestly, if I was wrong about that and the evidence went the other direction, I'd be writing a book about that. I'd feel honor bound to write a book about that. And yet it doesn't seem that's the case. In fact, it gets, at first I started talking about Jesus, then I talk about, well, here's all the reasons I think about Jesus, and then it's not just Jesus, and it just seems to be rippling out like a pond, ripples in a pond, to the point where, for me, it seems like the more I look into this, the more it seems the norm for the major world religions that have succeeded over time to one of the things that they're made of a completely imaginary founder figure that is a clearinghouse for all the good ideas they want to put into their scriptures. Yeah, 'twas ever thus. We just got a message not too long ago that the show normally wraps up about this time. So if anybody has any last minute calls, do. Otherwise, Kristyn, anything you wanted to add towards the end there?
I think we've hit a lot. We've been talking for 2 hours. Wow, JT was good. He made some good points. Thank you for calling in, Jesus Tales.
Thanks to everybody who tuned in tonight. We always have a blast talking in Skeptic Haven. So I never know what we're going to talk about. I always have a blast talking about. Oh yeah, what Kristyn said.
I lent out my my other copy. I have some other hard copies, but I let them borrow them. But thank God. Yeah. Then I've got the rest of them on.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I hope people will pick your books up. And all of them. 10 Christian Myths. Let's see, all of your Jesus Mythic in Action books or Playing God. All the Complete Heretics Guide.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you want to get into a little bit more what I talk about, I have 3 Facebook pages. One is Heresium. That is more mythicism. There's Awaken Our Mythology. That's more comparative mythology, including Christianity. And then I also just started a new page called Jesus and Jewish Mysticism, which deals with more of the tracking the angel of the Lord. I've hashtag called the many names of the angel of the Lord, so you can hit that on any of the pages, and that'll take you to all of the information, not all of it, but a lot of it that I've dug up on that topic, the many names of the angel of the Lord. So you got a lot of names.
Is asking to thank us for their patrons: Paul Cammish, Karen Butcher, Logan Fisher, Amanda McLeod, Rion, D. Murphy. Oh, I love you, D. Murphy. Don D. Michael Wiseman, Sonny Shell. Oh, we missed you tonight, Sonny. Oh, next time for sure we'll have you. Phil Calderone. Great to see you guys all. Thanks to all our Patreons. There's a crawl. We lost the crawl for a second.
Yeah.
Kelley Laughlin, Logan Fisher, Cynthia McDonald. Oh, I love her too. Tons of Mice, Infandale, Angela, YouTube members. You want to read some of these? Oh, I think we got
YouTube members include Kelley Laughlin, Logan Fisher, Cynthia McDonald.
Yeah, we just got those.
Tons of Mice. Looks like Infidel and Angela. Infidel and Angela. Sorry, I have got to get my. We get y'all. We got our guys in at least twice. So thank you.
Well, thanks again to everybody for tuning in tonight. I mean, Kristyn, you have to write your book because we're all waiting for it, and you've got so much to say. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight, and I guess we'll see you when we see you.
Get the book. Let me go this way.
Good night, all.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.